I turn my back, close my eyes, and toss the penny over my shoulder. I hear it slap against the water, but I turn around just the same to watch it sink to the bottom of the fountain. It lies there with all the other glittering coins, money unspent, wishes waiting to come true. Slowly, I walk away from the fountain and wonder if any of my wishes will ever come true. I wish for lots of different things. Sometimes I make wishes for other people, like my mother. I wish she didn't have to work so hard. And I wish she didn't always have that knot between her eyes from worrying about how she's going to pay the rent and buy food and clothes for all of us. I wish my abuela still lived with us, but she went home 5 years ago. Abuela said living in America was hard enough. She wanted to go home to die. Sometimes I wish my sister Toshi didn't act so evil all the time. And I wish my brother Rico would stop trying to mess with me. But mostly, I make wishes for myself. I wish my hair was long and wavy like those caramel-colored girls on music videos. I wish I had nice clothes to wear instead of knockoffs or bargains from the $10 store. I wish I wasn't so tall. Being tall is okay if you look like a model, but I don't. I'm just plain and dark and too tall and too smart and too shy to talk to anybody. Except I'm not shy really. I just don't fit in. I always have pennies in my pocket whenever I come to the garden, and I come here a lot. It's real quiet and pretty. No one notices me, not even the security guards. Because I'm so tall, they think I'm old enough to be in here alone. They don't know that I'm only 15. They don't know anything about me, where I live, what my family's like. I feel free when I walk through the garden gates, like I'm somebody new. I wish I could always feel that way. I wish I could go somewhere different, another country, someplace far away, a place where I don't have to feel ashamed of my home and my clothes and my short nappy hair that just won't grow. I toss a penny into the fountain and wish I could live inside someone else's body, even for just one day. But that wish, like all the others, hasn't come true yet. Hi everybody, it's Tatiana, and today I am reviewing A Wish After Midnight by Zetta Elliott. This is the first novel that I have read by this author, and I picked it up from the library after seeing Jerry at Onyx Pages do her book haul. She had 4 book hauls that she uploaded in February, I think. I don't know. It could have been March. The months are flying. And this really stuck out to me because there are comparisons of it to Octavia Butler's Kindred. And you all know Octavia Butler is like my shero. She's the love of my literary life. So I wanted to pick this up just to see how it was. And this follows the story of Jenna, who is 15 years old and is dealing with a lot. She is the daughter that has been labeled by her mom as her last chance, her best bet, the child that's going to do and what the other children didn't do. She's going to become somebody, become something other than a product of her environment. And so she's living with all of the pressures of that, as well as being a 15-year-old girl and experiencing life as a misfit in her neighborhood, as someone who is well-read, smart, gets good grades in class, and has a lot of responsibilities being the 15-year-old in the house. And she is the second youngest of the 4 children in her family, and she's tasked with the responsibility of basically keeping house. Babysitting her brother when she gets home from her baby brother when she gets home from school, and doing all cooking and making sure that her mom's taken care of at the end of the work day when her mom comes home and she's too tired to do anything other than eat and go to bed. And she has all of these responsibilities that are placed on her, on top of maintaining her grades and on top of the dreams that she has for herself and for her family, and trying to figure out ways to make that happen. Doesn't that sound like a lot? That sounds like a lot, because it is a lot. And what I really appreciate about Jenna as a character, I keep wanting to call her Gemma, and I don't know why. What I really appreciate about Jenna as a character is that the things that she is dealing with are not abnormal things that a lot of children who are growing up in her type of situation have to deal with. When I was teaching, I dealt with a lot of students who found themselves in Jenna's situation, maybe not as being that last chance child, but being a child who had actual responsibilities around their family, outside of their regular desires, their regular childhood desires that they would like to fulfill, and being a student. So that in of itself, I think, is captured exceptionally well in this novel. And then you have what happens when she finds out that a boy that she's attracted to is also attracted to her, which is something that she didn't think would happen. She didn't think he ever noticed her, because she is this awkward, super tall, nappy-headed black kid, dark black kid. The only thing that really people associate her with is that her sister is this light-skinned, pretty long, long straight-haired, or not as wavy-haired, that's girl, who goes to school with her. And so she's dealing with all of these things, and her one place of solace is the botanical gardens that's not far from her house in her neighborhood. If I didn't say, this is set in Brooklyn, New York. So what happens if, those of you who have read Kindred, to have the description or the comparison of Kindred on the back flap in the, information that you get before you even read the book, then you know that this is a novel that has time travel in it. And so what you have is this young, ambitious, dutiful child who is thrust into the situation of traveling back to 1800 New York, 1863 New York, still in her body, still looking like her, but dealing with the pains and the struggles that a black girl would face in the 1800s, particularly 1863, in the throes or beginnings of the Civil War in New York. Now, what I also liked and appreciated about this book is the look that it gives into the mentality of the people who lived in New York during this time frame. And the reason why I say that is because there's so much, when you look at and read books about slavery in the South, slavery in the South, and how slaves wanted to go north to get their freedom and to live as black people in the North. The idea is that there's this line of demarcation where once you get to the North, you have this life that is spades better than the life that they were experiencing as a slave. And on some levels, it is better because they are not enslaved, but they still faced the possibility that someone in New York would see them and know that they're a runaway slave. And instead of attempting to help them, the alternative is that they choose is the monetary alternative, which sell them down south and send them back into slavery, or report them to the South so that the South can come pick them up and they reap the reward. And we don't often get that perspective of the black experience in the 1800s when they are fleeing to go to go north. And so I appreciated that. I appreciated the perspective given of those who are part of the abolitionist movement in the North, but still have very racist and derogatory and just ugly ways of thinking about and dealing with black people in the North, either in their employ or even those who have come to them for safety. It's still a shit show. And present tense, it is still a shit show, but back then it was still a shit show. And so I really appreciated that perspective and that look into life in the North in the 1860s being presented to the reader, because that's going to be something, the way that it's brought forth is something that I haven't seen discussed as someone who lives in the South. I haven't seen shared a lot. However, as someone who knows people up north and has family who lives up north and have always lived up north, I know Jim Crow didn't just exist in the South. So there's a lot of that going on, and you have Jenna, who is trying to find her way and dealing with what she wants, and her ultimate goal is to get back home. As upset as she is, you know, with her family and some of the things that are going on in her household, she still misses them. She wants to get back home because this is not where she belongs. I really enjoyed this book. Like, I knew I liked it after I finished reading it, but the more I sit here and talk about it, the more I realize I really liked this book. And I am looking forward to reading more by Zetta Elliott. I would highly recommend this. I would particularly recommend this to young adult readers, because I think it's very important to see themselves portrayed in this type of setting as being a 15-year-old person who's pretty sure of who you are, and then getting to this point where you don't know what to do in this type of new situation or how to deal with what you've been presented with, and trying to figure it out, as well as the hardships and things that she deals with and her dreams that she has. I really enjoyed this. Yes, if you have teenagers who enjoy reading, I would highly suggest this book. And I would suggest this for adults as well, but particularly for teenagers, because I think this is a very poignant story that would benefit them to read, as well as those who are into history. If you have teenagers who are black who are not into black history in America, fix that. But this was great. I'm gonna stop talking. Read it. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a good weekend whenever you see this video. Peace out.